Between the pipes at the War Memorial in Syracuse, Dan Duva with perhaps the proudest goalie coach in all of hockey today, David Alexander. David, how are you?
Very good, thanks. Good.
And, of course, we're talking Kristers Gudlevskis and his 55-save performance against Team Canada, Latvia losing 2-1. But when you look at what happened yesterday, I don't think anyone was expecting it. What impressed you most about Kristers?
I think there's a couple things. In particular, his mental game was the first thing. I mean, to be going into a game like that where, you know, the odds are against you on a stage like that, the Olympics, playing against Canada, in which, you know, millions of people are watching, in a rink like that, for him to be able to compete at that level was very, you know, it's a great opportunity for him. On top of that, though, being able to maintain, you know, his technical composure and everything that he works on at such a high level it's very good for him. It's reassuring for him that he's moving in the right direction as a goalie.
Anything surprise you about his performance yesterday?
I think some of the biggest takeaway for him was the game. He's used to playing in the American Hockey League. A jump to the NHL is a big jump. A jump to the Olympics is probably even bigger. Moving from North American ice to international ice, you throw so many different things in there. And with all that being said, with all those components in play, the biggest thing that surprised me was just his ability to play his own game. You know, he didn't seem phased. He was the regular Kristers as far as the technical part of his game goes. The way he plays his game, very you know. He wasn't scrambling. He wasn't behind the play. He seemed to be right there with those guys. So it was great.
And so the hockey fans watching got to see a great game, but as a goalie coach, you really got to be pleased with how he performed. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are now acquainted with Kristers Gudlevskis, a name and a country that a lot of people don't really think about. I haven't really heard of Kristers Gudlevskis before, and a fifth-round draft pick of the Lightning just in 2013. For the people who saw him for the first time and are trying to get to know him now, what should they know about Kristers?
Well, I think what you see is what you get. He's a phenomenal worker, and one of the things Coach Zettler talks about here all the time with our guys is prepare for the opportunity. Don't wait for the opportunity, and he's the kind of guy that prepares for the opportunity. He's one of the last guys off the ice all the time. He's one of the first guys on the ice. I'll be sitting at my desk at 6 o'clock here at the rink getting ready to go home, and he comes back, you know, asking to work on something, watch some video. He's a very hard worker, and I think that's the biggest thing you need to know about Goody is his work ethic is very high, and the reason it's so high is because that's how he got to North America. He worked so hard as a young kid in Latvia, and he's brought that over with him, and he has his dream is set on being in the NHL, and he knows it's going to take a lot of work.
And no one has ever played in the ECHL, the AHL, the NHL, and the Olympics all in 1 year, and it's very possible that could happen this year. And right now he is on the Tampa Bay Lightning roster. Whether he'll play or not, we'll see what the injury situation is, if there are any other call-ups. But for now, as he heads back from Sochi, Russia, he'll potentially join the Tampa Bay Lightning. So with that development, for you to look at how this is unfolded for Kristers, and not only as this particular game, one game doesn't make a career, but as an athlete and where he comes from, his background, how is he defined as a goaltender, his strengths and the things that he continues to build on?
Yeah, I think for him, you know, it is a little bit of a whirlwind. You know, he's been, like you said, he's been 3 different leagues this year and now the tournament. So for him, you know, I think the biggest thing is when he comes back, like I said before, he's going to take this experience, put it in his back pocket. It's only one game in the grand scheme of things, but it's a game no one will be able to take back from him. On top of that, you're right, it doesn't define a career or make a career by any extent. I can tell you right now, when Kristers comes back to North America, it'll be business as usual. You know, he's going to slip back in, focus. He'll be up working with Tampa and their goalie coach, and continuing his development curve. So,
as the Syracuse Crunch get ready for the weekend, the Utica Comets, then the Hershey Bears for a couple of games. Richard Panik expected to be back with the Crunch this weekend. And Cedric De Chardin and Alan York are here. You know that Ben Bishop, new to the organization. Of course, Lindback is sidelined for now. But there are also a number of young goalie prospects coming up through this organization. It's your first year with the Tampa Bay Lightning. How would you characterize the depth in goaltending right now?
Yeah, I think obviously very healthy. You know, you look down the line, there's a lot of young prospects in the system. And on top of that, the guys up top are playing very well as well. So, you know, not many organizations can say that they have that kind of depth. It's obviously a huge kudos to the crew who does the drafting. Those people spend countless hours watching games and getting the final crop of guys saying you need to look at these guys, and from then it goes to the draft table. Being able to select those guys at the right times is also important, because at the draft table you always take the best player that's available. So being able to pick a goaltender sometimes can be risky, but they seem to know when to take the risk. It's great for a goalie coach, because we have goaltenders coming to the organization up in Tampa and here in Syracuse that have a lot of assets to their game. But again, it goes all the way back to the beginning, where the amateur scouts are finding these guys in Latvia, and doing a great job. So it's really, that's where the credit goes from the start. So.
And Kristers credits what he did last year at the World Championships and getting recognized here in Tampa Bay Lightning organization. As we mentioned, drafted 5th overall, and he has stepped right in. Right now for the Syracuse Crunch, whether it's Gudlevskis, De Chardin, or York, that's right now the trio that could be playing for the Crunch in the final several weeks before the season, regular season comes to an end. So when you have these goalies, these talented players, how does the coaching staff handle what is clearly some very talented netminders?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just keeping the environment healthy, because everybody wants to play. And that actually, to be honest with you, has gone a lot smoother than anticipated, because the guys are such good guys. They want what's best for the team. And deep down inside, you want to play. It's just nature, especially as a goalie at this level, you want to be a starting guy. But we're focusing hard on development. And that's what this is what these league is about, is developing athletes. So if you maintain a focus of, hey, are we getting better every day? Then to me, that's a win, right? Because at the end of the year, you'll be that much better of a goaltender. So for us, you're right, it's a little bit tricky managing numbers like that sometimes. But first of all, it's team first and development, which is very important.
And with Syracuse trying to find that winning streak, it's been a struggle to pick up the 2 points. Sometimes a hot goalie, maybe 55 saves on 57 shots, that sort of performance can help the team get on a roll.
Yeah.
Do the goalies feel that pressure to perform in that way every night?
You know what? It's in the back of their mind. We've talked about it, definitely. And you know what? To be honest with you, that mindset of saying, I have to get 2 points and steal 2 points, that can almost be detrimental, because there's so many other aspects that happen in the run of a game that are out of your control. So I always talk about goaltending as almost a sport within a sport. You play your game really well, manage your game really well, and the team is the beneficiary of that, and you go from there. So for the goalies, it's about, you're in there almost playing against yourself. It's a mental game, and you need to be totally focused, and don't worry about winning a game for your team. It's about playing well within yourself, and if you do that, then you're going to put your team in a position to win a game.
And turning from the goaltending situation for the Crunch to what is an important weekend, Utica at home Friday, to Hershey on Saturday, and then down in Washington, D.C. against the Bears on Sunday. After playing 2 very tight games down in Norfolk, the Crunch have struggled to find offense. You go against Utica. It's the first time they come to this building. For the team, how would you describe the mentality, the approach to this weekend against what is a budding rivalry with Utica?
Sure. This weekend, for us, it's a grit and grind weekend. We're going to have to win battles, and that's been, that's a big part of of success of teams that are doing well, is winning those one-on-one battles and being relentless on pucks. And for us, that's what it's going to be about this weekend. It's not about the tricks or anything extravagant. It's about just playing really good sound basic hockey and that grit and grind and really grinding it out, winning those battles.
And Cedric De Chardin, who started both games in Norfolk and played very, very well, allowed just 2 goals in each game, and it started on back-to-back nights for the first time since November. Yeah. And his record doesn't indicate how well he's played. Of course, has had some time in the NHL. For Cedric De Chardin, what are the things that he needs to do right now to keep playing well?
Yeah, looking at Cedric, even going back to the Utica game before he left to go up to Tampa, that was a really good game in Utica, I thought. He's followed it up with 2 in Norfolk as well. And you know what, for Cedric, he's a battler. He's the kind of guy that finds pucks, through screens. He's the kind of guy when they need a second save, he's got it in him to get there. So for him, it's about his battle game, to be honest with you. That's his bread and butter. And I'm the kind of coach that wants guys to stick to their assets. What are you good at, and build from there. And that's his game. He can pull out those saves. He's the kind of guy that can steal you a win, when he's playing well within himself. So for him, that's what it's about.
And no doubt we saw what Cedric did last year, set multiple Crunch playoff records in the run to the Calder Cup Finals. So Syracuse against Utica on Friday, down in Hershey Saturday, and in Washington, D.C. to take on the Bears on Sunday. And our guest has been perhaps the proudest goalie coach in all of hockey, David Alexander. Thanks for your time, David. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Dan.
With David Alexander, I'm Dan Duva.